How's it going?
Good. How are you, Professor?
Made it.
I did.
Thanks for coming up.
Thanks for having me.
Professor Ron.
Yes, sir.
What's your profession?
I am, well, my title is an account manager. I think that's, I'm really a sales rep. I'm in medical device sales. So
Is there something specific that you deal
right,
with?
right now, I sell skin.
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 Yes.
Wow.
Yeah. So we have 3 or 4 product lines now. The original one is it regenerates dermis. Yeah, it's indicated for that.
Wow.
Yeah, FDA approved. We carry an amnio portfolio, and another product that's made out of fetal bovine dermis. So I sell skin.
Fetal.
Fetal bovine dermis.
What is that?
It is baby fetal bovine baby cow.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
And so it regenerates, so it connects to your nerves and everything. And
Well,
sometimes
it regenerates tissue. So if you have a wound that's
see.
not closing,
I see.
this helps to promote wound healing.
Wow.
If you have a traumatic injury,
Okay.
this would
An accident.
Yeah, an accident. We'll do like some of the orthopods will do like I don't know, external fixator, fix the bone. If they can't close the surrounding tissue, they'll put on my skin.
Wow.
Hopefully,
Wow.
because I made a sale.
Yeah.
So.
Wow. It's crazy. Wow. I've seen some of those, the plastic surgeons where they, burn victims and stuff, and they restructure everything.
Yeah.
Is that some of the same things?
I would say it's a very high chance that it was my product that was used if there was skin involved. I mean, especially in burn. My company is one of the largest companies in the burn community.
Wow. What's the name of it?
Integra.
Integra. Wow. Wow. Interesting. What are some other things you've dealt with in the past?
As far as my
Just,
work?
Yeah. Like,
well,
medical.
prior to this, I did. I was in orthopedic sales.
Okay.
So total joints, hips and knees.
So like knee replacement.
Total knees.
Wow.
Total hips.
Wow.
I did trauma for a bit, foot and ankle. I think I was in a foot and ankle the longest, maybe 4 years.
Really?
Yeah. So
My son had foot surgery.
Okay.
Ankle, yeah.
I'm a sales rep, so not a doctor.
I know.
But
yeah.
you know I know quite a bit.
You know a few things. You have to know your stuff to be able to tell people
and
sell
know who
it.
to go to because I think I need someone soon. So, yeah.
Wow. And so, how did you get into martial arts?
Well, I mean, that's kind of okay. So obviously, I grew up in the '80s, Karate Kid, blood sport. I've always wanted to do martial arts. I never had the money to do it. Right, growing up, I was like, man, my parents couldn't afford it.
Where'd you grow up?
I grew up in Hollywood, so I'm local.
In Hollywood, okay.
Yes, definitely local. So, finally when I got into my line of work or started, when I got my first real job, I was like, you know what, let's go walk into a jiu-jitsu place.
Oh, no, straight to jiu-jitsu?
Yeah, straight into jiu-jitsu.
How old were you at the time?
I think I was 28.
Okay.
28 or 29.
And you've always wanted to do it since the Karate Kid.
Yeah, I've always wanted to do something in martial arts.
Something in martial arts.
But jiu-jitsu was like the thing, right? It was, I think, back in the late 2000s, right? Early 2000s. Not too many people knew what jiu-jitsu was.
Still, yeah.
Right? So
unless they watched the early UFCs with Royce Gracie.
Yeah, so I think I was covering a case like over in Glendale, and a Gracie Baja was opening up there. And I walked in, he was like, just sign the paperwork. We have a class later on this afternoon. So I showed up, rolled with a 110-pound girl, blue belt.
Did she choke you?
A couple of times. All of the above. Here I am, this big, hefty dude. This girl wipes me out. I was intrigued.
And how many stories have I heard of like their first class? Like it's so empowering, right? You're like, man, this lighter weight girl, and you're big old dude, big old guy,
Yeah. So after that, I was hooked. I think I was when I first started, I was probably 260-ish, 270.
260 pounds.
I dropped 30 pounds by within 3 to 6 months. It was fast. I dropped weight so quick. Yeah.
Wow.
So I think right around blue belt, I dropped like right around the 200s. and so I fluctuate around 200 now. So yeah. So
was it hard for you to move at the beginning?
Oh yeah, 100%. I mean, I used to smoke, 16 years. Used to drink quite a bit. And so jiu-jitsu changed everything for me, right? I mean, I think like my first stripe on my white belt, up too close to my second stripe on my white belt, I was still smoking. And then, the professor or the instructor back then was like, maybe you need to stop. So I did, jiu-jitsu changed.
It's a reality check, right? You're like, you can't breathe. You're like, oh.
Yeah. So I thought I could get away with just brute force. I'm bigger than a lot, most of the people at that gym. I was like, all right, I think I could do it. But then these athletic dudes just, kept on dancing circles around me. And so I was tired of losing. So quit smoking, cold turkey.
Cold turkey.
Cold turkey.
Wow.
After 16 years.
16 years. Yeah. Wow. Wow.
Yeah, so it's definitely been a good ride, in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
So you started in Glendale, right? And then you came over here, and I remember purple belt, blue belt.
So Tortuga. Right? He started visiting because back then, right? If you had a card, if you were with Gracie Baja, you could visit other schools.
I see.
So when I was working, the company I was working for back then, I traveled all over Southern California. So whenever I travel, I'd visit other locations.
Okay.
And Tortuga was like, hey, Burbank, why don't you check it out? So he started visiting first. I was like, okay, I'll check it out.
Tortuga, the silent assassin.
Yeah. Yeah. So he started visiting, and my schedule got very busy, right? So I was like, man, like the schedule at Glendale was limited. Unlike here, I mean, you're open like 5 a.m. till like midnight.
Yeah.
There's always someone here. It's like, wow. So I needed something that would accommodate my work schedule. So here we are.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember you guys coming in. Yeah, it was like during the day, and yeah, it's been quite a few. How many years is that?
8 years.
8 years, yeah.
I know the pandemic kind of screwed up my years, but I think it was like 8-9 years ago, roughly.
Yeah. Wow.
It's been a while.
Wow. And you kept getting. I just remember like you were like. Kind of like timid, like more timid, at the beginning when you first started coming, and then you just kind of really stepped up and started choosing the toughest guys on the you could choose, and didn't back down for anybody.
Right.
And yeah, it was pretty cool to see that transformation.
You know what?
It was like 1 year to the next,
Yes. I just woke up one day. I was like, look, man, like, I kind of live my life like this now. Just decide, right? I was like, look, you're here, I mean. Just don't shy away from it. Just every morning or the night before, I'd make a decision, for what I'm going to do the next day. And I think it just clicked one day. I was like, look, just do it. Just go all in. And I did, right? I think somewhere around tail end of purple belt, I even started Muay Thai, right?
Yeah.
And so I was like, just go. So.
And you kept dropping, you got leaner and leaner?
Yes.
Healthier and healthier?
Yeah. When somewhere around brown belt, I think I was still like right around 200, maybe like upwards, 199, 200, 205. And I was like, man, like these guys are tough.
There's
like
always new guys coming up, right? Tough guys coming
younger guys, athletic guys.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, and I may be up for my black belt. So I was like, all right. So I started training 3 to 4 hours a day, 6-7 days a week. If I wasn't here, I was stretching at home or lifting weights. So I was like, all right. So I got really, heavier into it. Not that I wasn't heavy into it already. So I was like, all right, you got to prove it to yourself, that this, if you do get your black belt, I was like, all right, you got to do this. And so I did. So I got down to like 186, 184 right before black belt.
Yeah. Respect. And what was I gonna say about that? What did your mindset, right? You I felt like a shift, like that time, you changed you made up your mind. What has that mindset done for you? Like in just your daily and your life?
Yeah. I have I have a few people in my life that I really take their advice seriously, right? And one guy was just like, dude, you got to just make these choices in life, and it's just you just got to do it. And so when he and I had that conversation, with jiu-jitsu, with martial arts, with personal, I think a lot of people in this world, they think of doing things, but they never do it. They keep thinking about it. Like, man, I want to go do jiu-jitsu, but they never walk through that door. All right. So I'm like, all right, moving forward, you're going to think of what you want to do and you're going to do it tomorrow. And so that, that translated into everything, business, personal, whatever, just do it. Life's too short. I was like, all right. So that's how it's translated into everything, personal, just whatever I want, just, figure out a way and do it.
Don't let the you can't do it or whatever nonsense stuff hold you back from doing it.
Yeah. So that's been my word. Just decide.
It's so interesting, like a common thing when you help new people coming into the gym, like you ask them, like a question I like to ask them, like how long have you thought about doing this? Right. Probably if I would have asked you that when you first came in, you're like, man, since the Karate Kid days. Yeah. So like how many years was that?
20 years.
20 years, But jiu-jitsu, right? Jiu-jitsu's been around now for a long time. And people think, they say like 10, 20 years, even 30 years, And it's kind of, and they didn't pull the trigger. So that's why when I talk to the coaches and the staff and stuff, like it's really important, right, to, make sure you hold their hand and bring them in, and
which I've watched you do
all the different steps, right? You see me jump up, and somebody new comes in, and I try to talk to them, and, make sure they come in, since they came in and they took the step, right, to call us or to come in, which takes a lot of courage.
Right, 100%.
Yeah.
Even when even as a new white belt, you could still see it, right? They hesitate. They're still in that. They're still trying to figure out if they want to stick around, So I'll roll with some of the white belts, and I always tell them, like, man, like I'm the least one you need to worry about. No submissions. Let's just have fun. Yeah. And I think they see that. Yeah. And then they, I think they enjoy that. Yeah. Or at least I did when I was a white belt. I enjoyed the guys, who I knew could wipe me off this planet.
Work with you. Yeah. Help you.
Right. And it was enjoyable.
And that's the environment too, right? That we want to create, right? Where we help everybody grow and be their best version of themselves. Switching up, your parents, they're from where?
They're both from the Philippines. So
you were born here?
I was born in Subic Bay.
Subic Bay.
Yeah, my dad was in the U.S. military, so I think he was stationed in the Philippines for a minute, or he would come back and forth to the U.S. And I was born in Subic Bay, Philippines, and my parents took me here, I think, when I was 1 or 2. So,
if you're Filipino, you can register for the military.
In the U.S. military?
Yeah.
I believe you have to be a U.S. citizen.
U.S. citizen, yeah.
Yeah. My dad, so my grandfather was U.S. military as well.
Oh, so, okay.
So, yeah. So, my parent, or my dad was U.S. citizen.
Okay.
Because of his dad, who was a U.S. citizen.
Okay. Okay. But they were always in the Philippines.
No, my grandfather was here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I learned most of this like the last 2 years.
Oh, no way.
Yeah. I mean, so I lost both my parents, right, in 21. So there's a lot of things.
During the pandemic.
Yeah, a lot of things I found out that, obviously you don't ask your parents till they're, a lot of people don't ask their parents a lot of things. So, during that time, I met a lot of people that I didn't know, never knew, never heard of. And then they showed up. I was like, oh my.
They showed up at the
funeral. Got phone calls, got text messages. I was like, I'm going to take this opportunity to get to know me and my parents. So I asked all the questions.
What did you ask?
Like, what was my dad like? He was around, right? Just personal things, right? Like things that you'll never know. Like, father, son, I have kids. There's a lot of things I don't talk about with my kids. Of
course, yeah.
Right? So it's like there were things that I wanted to know. Like how was my grandfather like? How was this? How did you get here? How did my parents meet? Just the basics.
Oh, you didn't know that.
Just basics. I mean, you hear stories,
but you don't.
But it's nice to
when you're older too.
It's nice to hear these things from people who were actually there. Like, like, oh yeah, I remember your dad. You know, whenever he'd be off, you know, from the military, they'd have like leave, whatever it is. He'd go out and, you know, he met your mom. My mom was a librarian in the Philippines. And so he'd go there and like pick up on your mom. It's like, all right, you know, go dad, you know? So, you know, that story, you know, was interesting. And so that's how they met, you know. Dad would go pick up my mom.
Read some books.
Yeah, yeah.
Pretend like he's reading some books.
But he was there for, I mean, come on, you know, he was there for a different reason. So yeah, just those little things, just to know who my parents were, what they were all about. You know, as their kid, I'm sure there's a lot of things I didn't know. So I just wanted to know.
What are some other things you found out that meant a lot to you?
Well, I mean, my grandfather seemed to have multiple wives. So I have a lot of cousins, uncles of different ethnicities out there, you know, that you know, I found out who some of them were. I communicated with them the last couple of years on my
instead of having a certain amount of family members, right? You expanded.
Yeah, I did. You know, but the you know the thing about that is, I've come to realize not everyone thinks like you, right? Everyone has their own mindset.
Yeah.
You know, some of them, you know, after 40, 50 years, it's like, oh, why now? You know, so which it stung in the beginning.
They were in the Philippines?
No, there's a lot of them here.
Oh, wow.
Like on my mom's side, there's a lot of people that live up in San Francisco Bay Area.
Oh, wow.
You know, so I reached out. I reached out to whoever wanted to talk. You know, so that was a big deal to me. So I just wanted to make sure that they knew that I was out there and I'm open to having a relationship if they're open to it. So I left it at that.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool. It's good. That's nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a movie called The King of Staten Island. What's his name? The comedian from Saturday Night Live.
I don't know.
He lost his dad in the Trade Center. You know, when it crashed, he was a firefighter, and you know, he was kind of losing his mind and whatever, and then later on he started hanging out because he was getting in trouble. Started hanging out at the fire department and started to meet all the other firefighters that used to work with his dad and got to know like who his dad was. And
I think I saw this one. He was like the first truck to come out, 9/11. I think so. Maybe.
I don't think they defined that, but it was about the son. What's his name? He's going out with Kim Kardashian. What's his name? Pete Davidson. Yeah.
Okay.
And I guess this is his story. And yeah, his dad was passed in the Trade Center, you know, when it crashed, and yeah, just get to know all his dad's stories when he was older and like appreciate, and it makes him understand who he is too, right?
Yeah, things you know, some people want to know, or some people don't. I did. I
think it's important, right? For not only you but your kids too.
Yes, just so they know. So if they ever ask me later on down the line, I know the real answers, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so.
Your grandfather, your dad's dad?
My dad's dad.
Your dad's dad.
Yeah, he's buried in a national cemetery up in San Francisco.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think he was in World War II.
World War II.
My dad was in Vietnam, so. Yeah.
So is my dad. Crazy.
I know. I know. Yeah, man, time flies so fast.
Yeah. 2021, huh? During the pandemic,
the first
were you
year
able to see your parents?
Well, you know, that was tricky. So my parents moved, I don't know, 5-10 minutes away from me. So, you know, I think I was here that last day. It was like March 14. I remember we took a group picture.
Yeah.
And then they announced the lockdown. I was like, all right, whatever.
Yeah.
You know, I was like, okay.
Yeah.
So my dad was like, hey, you know, I know you train, but you're not going to come around me if you continue to go. I was like, shit. So I was like, all right. So I made a choice that day. I was like, you know, I think you could tell it's either I'm in or I'm out.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, I'm not going to do this halfway. Right. So I just called it. I just called it that day. Right. I just stopped training. I mean, I was here 6 days a week.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So I just
You're
called.
a staple, like Muay Thai, like machine.
Yeah. So I made a choice that day.
Drop like what 80 pounds from the beginning.
Yeah, it was a big decision, right? I was like, okay. I mean, I took care of my parents physically.
Yeah.
Right. So I was like, all right, I'm not going to be that guy who messes up their parents. So I was like, all right. So I used the first year as an opportunity to, hang out with my wife and kids and my parents. So the first year we traveled quite a bit. That was election year. So I got to see all the different states, like what the lockdown did. Like some states didn't even wear masks. It was amazing. It was great. Right? Just to see.
What states did you go to?
All of them, I think. The first,
all 50?
Yeah, the first round we traveled north, right? Because it was still summer, right? So we went up across, I think, Utah, Colorado. I think it was Nebraska, Idaho, all the way up to like New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, and then made a diagonal cross down the U.S. on the way back, right? This was all I was still working because in the beginning, all surgeries were done. They shut us down. Right? Wow. So I was like, all right.
And
so,
you seize the moment.
Yeah,
huh?
absolutely. Because I never take vacation.
You couldn't really travel internationally, so you traveled.
Yeah.
You're like everyone to every state.
Pack up your stuff. Let's go. So, so that's what I did. I would still work. My wife would still work. All you need was the internet.
Yeah.
My kids would still go virtual school.
Right.
So we'd be in Arkansas. My kids would be in school. I'd be working. And it was great. So we did that twice.
So you went up Utah, you went north, and then Colorado, Wyoming.
Wyoming. Yeah, it was amazing. I think it was like
Did you go to South Dakota, North
the
Dakota?
Dakotas? We didn't get a chance, I think, because I was nervous. I didn't know. I have an RV. I didn't know if I can get up to the mountains up in the Dakotas. So because you have like those national parks up there, so I didn't know if I was eligible or I was new to RVing, so I was like, all right, let's not even get
I was just curious, because I don't think they ever closed in South Dakota.
No, they didn't. A lot of states didn't close. A lot. Yeah, I think California was one of the ones, right? Obviously, California, New York, New Jersey really shut down, but a lot of the states, it was wide open. And it was just nice to see, right? My kids, it was educational, right? I used it as a vacation. It was educational. I think we crossed to D.C., right? I teased about it, right? I was like, here we are, right? During the election year, all these things going on. And I told my wife, I was like, hey, we're in this like big old RV, roll on your windows, just because I'm a little scared, like, right? Because there was a lot of things going on, right? So I was like, I was worried about what could happen. So rest assured, we got followed by Secret Service around.
Really?
I mean, you have this big old thing circling DC.
Okay.
So I just want to make sure that they can see that who's inside. Like, all right,
just family, kids.
Kids. I was like, all right, just keep it cool. So, but it was educational the first year. Yeah. So I took my kids, my wife, traveling, and all that stuff. My parents wanted to stay home.
You. Wow.
Yeah. So it was good. But I missed jiu-jitsu. Right. There was absolutely no training. Right. So my dad was like, you are not going to come around me and your mom if you train. So I was like, all right, I guess.
And were you able to do any kind of movement or exercise?
I did kettle jitsu. I did a lot of stretching, but man, nothing is compared to this. I mean, I gained weight.
Yeah.
I would still work out, 5-6 days a week, 2 hours, weightlifting, running, kettle jitsu, watching the pounds go up. It's like, wow, nothing is like this. So
the people, the community.
Yeah, 100%.
Keeps
you going, keeps you alive. Just socializing with people, right? That it's a big deal. I couldn't wait to get back. So
wow.
So I waited, right? So like I said, my parents passed in 21, so I waited. I knew they were going to.
You traveled in 2020, all around, and then 2021.
So 20 in the tail end of 2020, my dad started complaining about him not feeling well. And my dad was very stubborn. I was like, hey, you got to go get checked, and he just refused. All right, my dad drank almost every single day, so I was like, all right, you need to go get checked, and he wouldn't. So I think right after my mom's birthday, like in March of 21, I started noticing him dropping pounds. I was like, you need to go get checked, like now. So he didn't. he didn't. And then we got, it was a big old deal, right? So as the weeks went on, you know, he dropped like 30 pounds in like 2 months. And then finally he looked at me, he was like, okay, let's go. So I took him to the hospital, and he never left. Yeah. So we found out, well, I took him to the hospital July 13, all right? July 13. And he walked in, and, you know, the doctor was like, all right, this guy's not leaving. You look at your dad. I was like, okay. So, like, the last 2 days, my dad's like, I don't want to die here. So I was like, all right, you know. So I took him home. He passed away at my house 9 days later. Yeah. And then, yeah. So, you know, my mom was, she was already, you know, she has dementia, and she was already kind of bedridden, right? But this kind of like, it was amazing. So to watch my mom, like, she stood up with the day my dad passed, you know, it was amazing. So she's, you know, and that was
the last. No idea how things work, right?
Yeah, it was amazing. You're right. This lady just was in bed, right? And all of a sudden, you know, the day my dad passes, she stands up. So it's like, all right. So my dad passes, and then you can tell, you know, I mean, this is how I kind of flipped it in my mind. Like, man, you know, love is beautiful, right? So you could tell my mom was like, I'm going to follow my husband. So a few months later in November, my mom, you know, passed too. So, yeah. So I waited a couple of months. I was like, all right, it's time to go back to jiu-jitsu.
Wow, man.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah.
What did your dad pass from?
Pancreatic cancer. Yeah. So, yeah.
Man, you know, so many parents, they pass like by themselves.
Yes.
In the hospital, and your dad was like, "Get me out of here."
Yeah. He was like, no, well, he didn't want to die there, right? So I was like, and I got it. Like, I knew how my dad was. I was like, all right, like, I'll do whatever I can. Let's go, you know? So I took him out, but it was the last few hours, I mean, I took him home, right? They put him on oxygen, and I'm looking at him, and you know, the hospice nurses are giving me drugs. They're like, all right, if the pain, you know, if he starts moaning, you got to give him morphine every 2 hours, you know, just to, you know, ease the pain. And, you know, my aunt was like, no, I want him to die naturally, you know? So I don't know, it was like 4 a.m. You know, I'm like, I slept on the floor next to my dad. And then he was like moaning loud, and I was like, oh, shoot, you know? And then they're like, all right, you got to pump up the dosage. You know, it was interesting to do those things, right? To your pops, you know, just kind of making those life decisions last minute, and just like really understanding what am I doing here, right? You know, do I want to do this, right? But you could tell he was in pain.
And it's like all intuition, right?
You could tell.
Can't.
There was
for
nothing.
you, to make
so
those decisions.
Yeah, so I don't know. He was on oxygen till the very last, you know, minute, but just making those decisions, you know, it was all on me. It was crazy. I was like, okay. You know, thankfully, I mean, I'm in the medical field, so I kind of understand a lot of it.
Yeah.
Right. So I was like, okay, you know, I was weighing things out. Like, all right, you know, do we do it this way? Do it that way? Right. So, yeah. So finally, I think 9 a.m, the hospice nurse shows up, and he was like, okay, your dad's not going to make today. So he didn't. The nurse knew. Right, it was obvious. Like, his vitals were low. He couldn't take vitals on the extremities anymore. So we knew.
His body was rejecting the
IVs
and stuff, or how does that
he
work?
was jaundice, right? So he was turning yellow, and what is that? I want to say his liver was shutting down, and all his organs started shutting down, right? And so when we were still at the hospital, I was like, do whatever you can, right? So I told my dad, hey, we're gonna do what we can, so get you out of here. You know, let's go screw around the last couple of days, whatever. Screw it, let's go. So his cancer got to a point where there was nothing left. So obviously we took him home. So it was, it was interesting.
Well, God bless that you guys were able to, you know, get him out of there. Like, you know, how many parents they passed by themselves.
Yeah, it was a big
on
deal.
FaceTime, you know.
Yeah, I heard a lot of stories like that. Like people couldn't come in.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, that was sad, right? I mean,
even
the funerals, even like when I was doing or organizing the funeral services, I think we caught the tail end of the lockdown, right? They said, as far as the funeral services were concerned, they were just like, well, you know, last week you were only allowed 10 minutes and you couldn't make a circle. Basically, once you visit, you're done, you're out. This was the viewing. So, you know, thankfully, you know, we missed that one. So, yeah, I mean, just organizing the funeral and just knowing, just wrapping it up in like 9 days. It was an experience.
What a crazy time.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, I don't know. I shared with you my dad's story. No. He was, he was in a nursing home, and the pandemic happened, and then all of a sudden we couldn't see him anymore. And he has beginnings of dementia, and he's digressing a lot. But he could still stand up and do stuff like that. It was basically, we went to go visit him on Easter, and it was like visiting somebody in jail. Like he go on FaceTime. He didn't understand, what was going on. And then just he kept regressing, and then he got COVID inside, right? And
but
then
he's okay.
He got it 3 times, supposedly, and so then he had COVID, and they rushed him in the middle of the night and took him to. He was in the veteran part of the veteran thing, so he took him to the veteran whatever COVID area, and then he got better, and then he got it again, and then I don't know, they called my sister for end of life decisions. And we're like, what? Like, what are you talking about? He wasn't eating. They had to feed him with the tube. And then my sister, like, they put him in what's the one by the 405, the big hospital,
the
VA hospital.
Yeah, off of Santa Monica. I think.
Yeah, and by the 405, and so then she kept calling my sister. My older sister. Kept calling and she got a hold of the chief of staff of the hospital, and he let us see our dad.
It's amazing how that one person.
And he stopped eating. He was like, whatever. He was like so sedated, I think. And then I went in there with his girlfriend, and I was like, hey dad. And he wasn't waking up. And then this nurse came in. She's like, you shouldn't be here. I let her say her thing, and then she's like, it's bad that you're here or something like that. And then I got I flipped, I started fighting with her. I was like, what? What do you say? Excuse me, Right. And then I went off, and then the conflict woke him up.
Okay.
Conflict woke him up.
They can sense those things.
The conflict woke him up. He's fire, My dad's fire. And the conflict woke him up, and he's been awake ever since. But first thing he said is like, man, you guys abandoned me. You guys let that. He didn't understand what was going on. You know, there was a pandemic. He had no idea. He's like, you guys can't be leaving me here, this and that. And so we had to take it for 10 minutes, whatever. And then like, I know. It's actually more than that. He kept going, forgetting and then saying it again. Right. He's like, I know. But within like a day, he started drinking water. Within 2 days, he was eating again. And he started to come back to life just from us visiting him.
I believe that. Yeah, no, it's amazing. People need people, right? Yeah. You being there, I'm sure saved them, right?
Yeah, and we're like, okay, we got to get him out. Same thing, and we were the lucky ones, right? Because we were able to go see him, one, and then two, just get him out of there. And then got him into his girlfriend's, got everything set up. And Jeanette was like huge help, She went over and just helped us put it together, because I have no idea about those kinds of things. And we were able to get him out. And then right before we were going to take him out, he tests positive for COVID one more time.
Okay.
I was so pissed, you're like excited. You're like, all right, cool. We're about to test one more time. We got to test him just, to make sure.
Just in case.
And then they tested him like a few days later or whatever it was, and he was okay. So we got him out of there,
That's good.
He's in the best place that he can be.
Right.
I got them Netflix. They didn't know about Netflix, so they're Netflixing and chilling.
I love it. Yeah, they need it.
He's in the best place. That he can be, and she's happy too because she has she has help in the house, and Yeah, and just the whole pandemic too for her. Like, man, like just all the social things that she did. Like, she stopped everything, right?
Right.
Yeah.
It was tough, you know, just making those decisions because there were you wanted to do certain things for your family, but
your hands
you
are
weren't
tight.
allowed
You
to,
can't.
right?
Yeah.
There's a lot of things that you just couldn't do. So
like Filipino family, Armenian, like you know, like they like a lot of the family they didn't care. They just you know they went to the side, you know. But like if they were, you know, yeah, they all did it that way, you know, just because it's like no, there's no way the disrespect, right, to our patriarchs and matriarchs, and no way.
Yeah, had to be there. No, had to. Yeah.
So bless you, man, for
No matter what, I told my sister, I was like, no, our parents are gonna be there. We're gonna be there. Doesn't matter. So yeah.
I'm not taking no for an answer.
Yeah. So that was 2021.
And you made it back. When did you make it back?
Here?
Yeah.
I came back first week of March, I think. I was gonna do it 2 years straight and come back March 14th since March 14th was my last day.
Right.
I can't. Let's go. So I just showed up like March.
Before that,
March, yeah, I was like, all right, let's go.
Like, what am I waiting for? Let's do this.
Well, I mean, a lot of it was, you know, my parents just passed, so a lot of it was like psychological. I needed time, right? I was like, all right, you know.
Your mom passed in November?
In November, yes. So I just needed time, just time. That was it. So I was like, all right, you know. But then after some time, I was like, all right, I know jiu-jitsu would help me with this time. So I was like, all right, it's time to go back. I made a choice. Let's go. And so here I am, 6 days a week again. You know, given, you know, whatever work lets me do. But
what did your mom do?
She was a librarian.
The whole time?
So she was a librarian in the Philippines, Far Eastern University. And then when she came here, it took a while. Like she took little side jobs when we were first here. I know both my parents worked at City National Bank years ago. Then I don't know what she did to get to the point where she can be a librarian here, right? So she retired from Santa Monica College as one of the librarians there.
Oh wow!
Yeah. So she was a librarian here as well. So.
And your dad, he stayed in the military?
No, my dad retired years ago from the military. He was working here, and I don't know, somewhere I was still a kid. Something happened, and he's been disabled since, right? So he just hung around, you know, ever since that. So. Yeah.
Got to spend time with his family and
do stuff. His friends.
His friends, okay.
Yeah, my dad was one of the guys. Okay. You know, he liked to hang out with his friends. So I grew up seeing all that stuff. It was, you know, that was his jam. You know.
Why was it important for you to you know, find out about your dad and who he was? And
there was a lot of unknowns. Right, I don't like not knowing things. I think people who know me are like, man, you want to know everything. I ask all the why questions, right? Why this? Why that? Why do you do an armbar like that? Why do you do it like that? I just always question everything, and it's just you know, it helps me sleep at night just to know who my parents were, where I came from, you know, how things came into play, and it's interesting, right? You know, like how just everything, just how life happens. So I just wanted to know what he was all about, you know, because as his son, of course you have your little.
How many brothers and sisters do you have?
I have a younger brother and an older sister.
Okay,
so there's three of us. Yeah, so that one's a whole different conversation in itself. But yeah, there's three of us.
Okay. Yeah. What did your dad mean to you?
You know, it's weird, right? Because we had a typical father-son relationship in a bad way, right?
In a bad way?
Yeah, I mean, we fought a lot. You know, we didn't see eye to eye in a lot of things, but, you know, being his son, I always knew I was his son, right? I mean, it's funny because when I think about how I was growing up, I was a bad kid, right? You know, I got into a lot of trouble, you know, but now that I'm older, it's like, man, Dad, you were just like me.
Or what kind of trouble did you get into?
I don't know if I want to, just a lot, you know. I you know, smoker, drinker. I used to like to hang out a lot.
Okay.
You know, I grew up in LA. You know, times were different back in the 80s and the 90s. You know.
Hollywood, huh?
Hollywood.
Hollywood.
Yeah, so.
A lot of gangs and stuff, right?
A lot of that stuff, you know. So it was different times, you know. You were able to get away with a lot of stuff, and if you got caught, it was a slap in the wrist. So it was fun, you know. I wouldn't change it for the world. I think it's who made me who. It's what made me who I am now, right? Just, you know, now I understand that phrase, old and wise. You know, it's because you've seen a lot, you've done a lot, so it's kind of calmed me down. I kind of understand a lot of things. Just, yeah.
So did you answer the question, like, what your dad meant to you?
What did he mean to me? You know, it's funny. So we fought a lot, but now it's amazing because I'm gonna try not to cry on this one. Everything, right? I mean, because they're everything to you, right? No matter how you fight with your parents, how whatever relationship you had, once they're gone, you're gonna realize it's like, shit, they were everything, right? Even Sundays, like if people always invite me to train here on Sundays, like, dude, I can't. Like the moment I leave here on Saturday, right, it's like family time. So like now, like Sundays was always like my parents would come over, I'd cook for them and all that. Now it's like on Sundays, I look at my wife like, all right, let's get out of the house, let's go. So yeah, it was everything, right? My entire life changed the moment both of them were gone, even though I was the one taking care of them, right? In a lot of ways, right? Even on a financial standpoint, it was everything. So yeah, to answer your question, you know, despite our gripes with each other, he meant everything. Yeah, it's interesting the dynamics of father-son relationship, how stubborn men can be, and at the end of it all, like when it's all said and done, it's like, all right, all the anger is gone. Just just the memories.
That's when you appreciate, right?
Yep, yep.
Appreciate most.
100%. You know, this drive that I got was because I was mad at my dad all the time. You know, I was angry as a kid, right? You know, why this, why that? But I got this thing in me, like this drive, like I don't know how to lose. I don't want to lose. You know, and I want to say it's propelled me in life, no matter what. It's like even on the mat, it's like, you know, screw it. Don't tap. Just keep going. All right, just go. Just go train. You know, like, all right, I'm tired. Just go. And it's just everything, you know. And it's amazing because growing up, I would never have thought it 1 second I'd be saying this about my dad.
Your dad gave you that gift, huh?
Yeah, it's amazing, right? I thought about all this like the last 2 years. It's like, wow, this man that I argued with all the time, like, yeah.
You're just like him.
Just like him, spitting image. It's amazing. It's amazing. Yeah. It's amazing. So yeah, I mean, I was always like, you know, around my mom. She, you know, mama's boy, I suppose. You know, but even though my dad wasn't around a lot growing up, it was still amazing to come to the realization that, hey, man, like you saw all that. You know, that's you. That's why you are who you are. You know, despite all the flaws, you know.
Yeah.
Embrace it.
Yeah. All the great things, amazing things, right?
Yeah. You know, like a lot of people, you know, I sit there, I hear a lot of people now, you know, it's amazing, right? Complaining about their parents. It's like, man, they're teaching you at the same time, you know. I mean, it's not like my parents were bad people. You know, everyone makes their choices, you know, but I learned a lot from watching it. You know, it's really, you know, a lot of people like to blame other people. Like, oh, my life is screwed up because of this, because of that. No,
that's the easy way, right?
Yeah, no, you make your own choice. All right, I could have fell back so many times. I probably did, you know, in my younger years. I'm sure I had a lot of setbacks. But again, like somewhere down the line, it clicked. I was like, all right, you're done. You're going to go straight and narrow, and you're going to make a life for yourself, and you're going to change.
How was Jiu-Jitsu played into that?
It's everything, right? I mean, smoking, drinking, partying, I mean, that's a lifestyle in itself. You know, the social aspect of that, you know, the friends that I had in the past, right? Complete 180, right? The guys here, you know, everyone eats right, works out all the time, no smoking, no drinking. Of course, you know, they're socializing every now and then, but it's changed, right? Jiu-Jitsu like really, really changed. Like you can really translate jiu-jitsu or martial arts into business, into family, right? Just how to interact with people, everything. It's taught me, I'm a pretty quiet person, I think, right? I keep to myself quite a bit. But jiu-jitsu's kind of opened me up a little bit, or a lot, just to a lot of different things, right? There's a lot of people that I know I'd probably never would be friends with if it wasn't for jiu-jitsu, right? But here we are. It's changed my thinking.
You can't judge a book by its cover, right?
Absolutely not. Yeah.
And everybody's the same on the mat, right?
Yeah, 100%. Nothing, you can't hide anything on the mat. I remember someone used to tell me that, and that is the truth. You can tell a lot by rolling with someone. Personality, what they're thinking that day, that moment, all right? You can feel things.
Yeah.
It's the beauty of the art.
Did your dad ever come to the gym?
He came once. I think it was over in Glendale. I think he took my mom to get some Portos next door. And they're like, oh, so my dad was like, oh, so you trained? What is this, karate? My dad he'd mess with me, just to kind of irk me, yeah. But no, he never really came around like that. But he showed up that one time. But I think it's because they had to walk around the gym or something. But no.
When I talk, I had Hoist Gracie and like a lot of these icons, like Saul Alberto is like my favorite, like one of the GOAT probably for me, just as far as competition and jiu-jitsu and things like that. So I've had the opportunity to ask them all, like what's the biggest thing that like jiu-jitsu and just the whole jiu-jitsu lifestyle has given them, and they always kind of tell me the similar thing,
Yeah.
Like the relationships, right? They say, is it the journey or the destination? But they, and then it's like they're saying it's the company.
Yeah, I think so. 100%. It's the company, just, yeah, I mean.
What about for you? I didn't mean to say that and,
Sure.
put words in your mouth, but.
Sure. What's it mean to me?
Yeah.
It's.
One of the biggest things you've gotten out of.
So
this lifestyle, jiu-jitsu lifestyle,
that I can do anything, right? I mean, I was never an athletic guy. I always tease, right? When they're like, hey, did you play sports in high school, college? It's like, no, I was the guy the back of the bleacher smoking and drinking, right? But, again, when you make a decision, you make a decision. And I think what jiu-jitsu has given to me is, I got my black belt, and I've come to the realization, right, that as long as you keep your mind to it, just make a decision and just do it, you can do anything, right? And that translated into anything. I'll tell my wife whenever she says, no, we can't do that. It's like, watch, we're going to do it. And so that's what jiu-jitsu has given me. It's taught me that,
the mindset.
Yeah. So long as you put your mind to it, you're going to do it. It's just a matter of time, So I think that's ultimately the gift that I've gotten from jiu-jitsu,
Yeah,
it's a good one. It's a big
one. That's it. I think for me as well. I think of course the relationships and the friendships, but for me, the confidence in myself, like true confidence.
Yeah,
like mind over matter, right? Like stuff that you're like, man, there's no way I can do that, and you do it, right? If you commit to it.
Yeah.
And you stay the course, right?
Then it feels great afterwards.
Yeah.
Right? Just looking back, you're like, wow. And all of that was in your head, right? That was the only thing stopping you from accomplishing what you wanted to do.
We are our own worst enemy, right?
Yeah. That is
our biggest opponent is ourselves.
I do believe in that. I fight with myself every day, right? Like, now you're gonna go. Right. So
yeah, that's it, right? That's what it comes down to, right?
Yeah.
Like I don't feel like going today, but you show up anyway.
Yeah, and there's a lot.
And that's
days.
the difference. The people, right? For everybody.
Yeah.
But the difference is you show up.
You showed up.
You showed up and you went.
Yeah, that's a big deal. It's a big deal. Like,
and that's what it comes down to. Really, that's all it comes down to.
You gotta just do it. Yeah. So many times I've
texted. It's like that's it. That's like the hardest part, right?
Just showing up.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's 90% of the battle, I think. And that translates into everything.
Everything, right?
Everything. And that's what I think jiu-jitsu has taught me.
How old are your kids?
I have a 22-year-old.
22-year-old.
He'll be 23 this year, and I have a 7 and a 5, all with the same woman. Yeah, it's been.
For your family day on Sunday.
Family, yeah. So that's it. You know, everyone's like, "What do you do on your personal time?" It's like, you know, I mean, all I know is work, jiu-jitsu, and home. That's it. That's it. Work, jiu-jitsu, at home. Like I'll spend 3-4 hours here, and my wife knows it. Like it's like, just let me go to jiu-jitsu. Let me get here.
Do my thing.
Let me do my thing. Once I get home, I'm a dad. Right? I'm a dad. I'm a husband, and then get to work. Because the dad has to pay the bills. So, yeah.
How does jiu-jitsu make you a better husband, a better dad?
It calms me down, right? It tells me, you know, this came with time, you know, you slow down. You know, all the decisions you make, just think about it, right? Before you try to hit that armbar, that triangle, think about it real quick. Mm-hmm. You know, so everything I do in my personal life or business life is just think about it first, right? And so I think that's definitely helped me in being a better person at home. Just thinking first before acting. You know, as a young man, it was like, all right, let's just go.
Think things through.
Yes, before acting on it. So that's definitely what's made me better at home.
Nice, man. What a journey, man.
That's it. I hope to continue it.
Yeah. What do you? You know, any goals like for your martial arts training, like black belt? You know, you're training bang Muay Thai. You know,
you know,
learning the combos, and you know.
Well,
what are some goals you have
in the martial arts world?
Yeah,
you know, I mean, number one, never stop training jiu-jitsu. That's key. You know, maybe get a black belt in bang Muay Thai system. That would be good. You know, a double black belt, that would be fun. But, you know, I don't think I have too many ambitions, you know, in the martial arts world, except for just continue to train, right? I love this place. I love training. You know, it's just I'm just that regular dude that just doesn't want to stop training.
That's it. That's where it's at.
Yeah.
That's the goal, right?
That's it. You know,
be your best at every age. Stay healthy. Stay happy.
Yeah. You know, this thing, it definitely, you know, like I said, I worked out during the last 2 years, but man, I put on the pounds. But here we are, I'm dropping the pounds. Nothing's like this place. Nothing. You know, so that's the goal. Keep at it.
Well said. Well said. Thank you, brother.
Thank you, Professor.
Congratulations on everything you've accomplished and will continue to do with with your mindset.
Yeah. Thank you. Thanks.
Congrats. Congratulations.